What's up, EV Clan? Alex SB on here, and if you missed the last episode, sorry, getting ahead of myself, welcome back to the Pokemon Red Randomizer Nuzlocke. If you missed the last episode, basically, we did a lot of battling trainers, as we made our way down, like, the sort of boardwalk area that is the previous route, and we come to this route now. Wow, your badges are too cool! So hopefully this episode will get through this route, which will bring us to Koga, which I'm starting to recall that there is, like, an even further, like, route down. Like, this route, like, because right now we're on, like, a bridge-looking thing. It's not, like, really a bridge, I don't think, but there's, like, fencing to it, so it kind of looks like a bridge, like, there's, like, a border to it, and I feel like there's water on one side of us, but there's not water on the other side, so it's not clearly a bridge, it's more like a peninsula type of thing. But, like, once we get down, like, this sort of pathway, this straight line that this like, field of trainers is, we're gonna get to, like, a turn where it goes, like, turns down, and then we're gonna turn again, like, and we're just gonna go left from there. So, like, we're gonna hit, like, a corner, basically, and we're gonna round that corner, and then we'll be getting to, Koga, because I do recall now, that was where I was talking about earlier when I said, like, oh, not earlier, I guess, like, a while ago, like, many days ago, possibly weeks ago, when I was saying about, like, how Doduo is located Doduo is, like, really hard to find in Gen 1, and so it doesn't get a lot of use from me, because it's, like, right next to where Koga is. It's on that route. That's the route that I was talking about. In case you don't know what route I'm talking about, like, where we need to go, but you happen to know where Doduo is for some reason, it's that route. That's where we have to go next. That's where we're going down to. But yeah, like, I'm sure now you're really starting to see that point, because we've taken so long to get to this point that, like, I'm sure you're starting to see now why I haven't used Doduo in a run before, because it's just, like, so hard to access. Like, in Gen 1, yeah, and then in, like, future generations, it's not even, like, available, I feel. Like, I have to look into it, like, just how many Pokédexes is Doduo in, but I feel like it's not a lot. It's not in Sword and Shield, I can say that with confidence. It's not in Diamond and Pearl either. Because I played those games, I played Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl recently, and I played Sword and Shield so much that at this point I know, like, Pokédex basically by heart. Like, obviously I probably couldn't name the entire Pokédex, but I could tell you, like, just give me, like, any Pokemon, and I could tell you if it's in Sword and Shield or not, with, like, a fair amount of confidence. Because, like, really, I love Sword and Shield. It is, like, a very basic Pokemon game. There's not a lot to it, especially the gimmick is, like, really meh. It's like, you get big, whatever. But not enough. Yeah, it is really not enough. Like, there are some Pokemon Sword and Shield is lacking in creativity a bit. But when it comes to, like, Pokemon designs are great. Sword and Shield has some great designs that really have a lot of thought put into them. But, like, in terms of, like, towns, and, like, the story, and even, like, what was I talking about before? Just, like, I don't know. Whatever I started saying before about, like, whatever. It's, like, it's lacking in creativity quite a bit. My cute Pokemon wish to make your acquaintance. Also, I think the Pokejobs are, like, a really weird thing. Every Pokemon game has that weird thing, you know? It's like, you've used it, like, once or twice, but then you, like, play the game. You used it, like, quite a lot when the game first came out, but then you replay the game and you're like, why is this even here? Like, Pokejobs is definitely one of those, where it's like, yes, it gives your Pokemon, like, XP, and it gives you, like, free stuff or whatever, but, like, why would you not just grind? Grinding seems so much more interesting than just, like, sending Pokemon to do jobs and then waiting for them to come back. It's just, like, so boring. I don't understand. I like that it's there, I guess, but, like, I don't really see a massive point to it, and there are ones that, like, IV train, and that's kind of cool. But I feel like it is interesting to see, like, the brands of Pokemon fleshed out, because I feel like that's not something we got in previous games. Like, Sword and Shield was really the first game that did that, where it's like, yeah, you get to see, like, brand names. You get to see, like, what makes what. Like, there's a shoe company dedicated to Bolt Hunt, and there's, like, a fire department dedicated to, like, Yamper or some crap, I don't remember. But, like, you get to see, like, all these different job applications in a Pokemon game, which is kind of cool, I guess. And it's interesting as well that like the jobs are for the Pokemon. It's like you are getting your Pokemon hired onto jobs, and it is a interesting idea, I guess, but it is just kind of like boring, and like when you replay the game, there's really no use to it, I feel, because it's just kind of like, oh yeah, you send your Pokemon, and then those Pokemon are no longer with you for like a day, and then you come back and they're now with you. It's like, well, you just send your Pokemon away for them to get some XP and get free stuff, and then like they come back, and then you like don't have that Pokemon for the rest of the day, and then they come back and it's just like, wow, I feel so accomplished, I really worked for this, psych, I just waited. It's like, I don't know, it doesn't leave me with a lot of like gratification. Like, I don't feel like I accomplished anything if I just send my Pokemon off to a job and then it levels up. Like, I want to actually do something, even if that something is as monotonous as just shoving XP candies down its gullet until it evolves. Like, just, there's something so much less interesting about, like, just press a button and then it's off doing a job, and then press another button and now it's back. Like, there's literally nothing, you're literally, like, doing nothing. You just send a Pokemon away, and then it comes back and boom, it's got more XP. It's like daycare, but somehow, like, it's like daycare, but free. You know, like, you leave Pokemon in the daycare and then they level up. It's like daycare, but free, and you only get, like, so many per day. But it's, like, not enough, it's, like, not enough of a limit on them per day to the point where it would actually matter. Wow, you totally won! Yeah, I totally did. Check the scoreboard, girl. Totally. That goes nowhere. What is the point of this? You want to go in a tiny hole? Yes. That one freaking space where they just, like, forgot to fill in the fence. That's actually an error, and they got, like, the entire game done. And then they were like, they brought it to the test audience, and then they're like, well, what do you think? And they're like, there's a hole, there's a gap in this fence. And they're like, well, who's gonna notice? I noticed, Game Freak. The wind's blowing my way. Huh. So I guess the wind is blowing against my back. Alex saying the obvious, be like... It took me a bit, though. It took me like a few seconds. I'm like, I guess the wind is blowing against my back. Yes! If it's blowing against your front and I'm facing your front, then it is blowing against my back. That is how wind works. That is how directions work, Alex. Here, the brain, like the wires of the brain connecting. It's like, that it's blowing against my back. Just to hear the thought, you can hear the cogs turning in my head. Yeah, but like, I don't even know what I was talking about. Well, Pokechops. It's like, yeah, every Pokemon game seems to have that thing where it's just like, you use it, and then you come back to the game. You use it in like your first playthrough when the game first came out, and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And then you replay it, and it gets no use whatsoever because you realize that it's cool in some ways, but it's also like entirely pointless. It's like, it's just so much less time consuming to just feed your Pokemon XP candies. Like, why wouldn't you do that? It's like the same thing with like Pokepelago in the Gen 7 games, where it's like, oh wow, this is really interesting. You get to like cultivate, you get to like plant beans, and you get like different islands where you plant different types of beans, and then you like pick the beans, and then you like, friggin', you have to like shake the tree, and then the beans come out, and it's really, really interesting. But then like, then you realize like, I'm probably never gonna run out of beans anyway, so what's even the point of this? And then you just never do it again. X and Y, I feel like, had something like that. Because they had like a bunch of, I remember in X and Y they had like a bunch of like bottom screen things where you could like swap what the bottom screen is. And like, there was like Pokemon on Me, I believe is what it was called. It's not Pokemon Refresh. Pokemon Refresh is like the Alola version. But they had that for like X and Y, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, where they had like a Pokemon system where you could like pet them and feed them stuff. In X and Y, in Gen 6 it was Pokepuffs, and then in Gen 7 it was beans, and I'm like, this is lame, I like Pokepuffs better. So like, yeah, Pokemon on Me, I believe is what the original one was called. In the Gen 7 games it's called Pokemon Refresh, because in the Gen 7 games it becomes more about like, it becomes more of something you need to do after battles. but like you don't need to do it, they just make you feel like you need to do it. It's like, if you want to raise your Pokemon's friendship to an ungodly amount, just pamper them by wiping the mud off of them after every battle. Because it's not like battles are supposed to be like hard or anything. It's like, oh no, I got mud on me, and it's like, don't worry, Rowlet, I'll brush your feather. It's like, that really, I don't want to be like a bad Pokemon owner or anything, but like, at the same time, why do I care if you just like fought a Rattata and now you have some sand on you? It's like, you're just gonna fight another one later. It's like after a big battle, sure, but I don't want them like asking me to, I don't think they should be asking you like after every battle, like, do you want a Pokemon refresh now? Because it's like, they're just gonna get dirty again in the next battle. It's kinda pointless. The wind turned! Like, it is a really cute thing that they have in the game. And I think that after, like, major battles, it's, like, fun to just, like, check up on your Pokemon. It's, like, give them a nice brushing, feed them some beans. But, like, after every battle, it's, like, come on. If you do it, like, after every battle, then I can see how it could start to get, like, really lame and really redundant. What are you looking at? Also, if you keep doing it after every battle, then, like, you can no longer keep feeding them because they get full. So, yeah, I'd say, like, if you finish, like, a captain or a kahuna, and you want to, like, brush them or feed them, go ahead. But, like, I think that, like, doing Pokemon Refresh after literally every battle is such a waste of time. Also, I just full-on went for a Ghost-type move on a normal-type Pokemon without even thinking about it. And in future games, that would have done absolutely nothing, but because we're in Gen 1, for some reason, the normal-type Pokemon can't hit a ghost, because normal things can't hit a ghost. But the ghost can hit the normal type Pokemon, because ghosts apparently can hit normal things. Y'all ever been punched by a ghost? Because I don't think that's really a thing. Typically they like send shivers down your spine, or they like possess you to alter the way you're behaving or something. I don't really hear of people people who live in haunted houses just getting punched suddenly. It's like, why can I hit the perfectly normal cat, you know? It's like, how come he can't interact with my plane of existence, but I can. But I can interact with his. This doesn't make much sense. I'm glad that they fixed that in future generations. Because it makes sense that if ghost-type Pokemon, if normal-type Pokemon if ghost-type Pokemon are immune to normal-type moves, then normal-type Pokemon should also be immune to ghost-type moves. I do not understand why. I guess I do, yeah. Fighting-type Pokemon, it makes sense. Because it's like, yes, a ghost should be able to hit a fighter, I guess, but it makes sense that a fighter can't hit a ghost, because a fighter is like using straight-up physical attacks, meanwhile a ghost is like using its spirit powers. It's just the fact that like ghosts shouldn't be able to hit like anything that is like physical, and physical things shouldn't be able to hit ghosts. It should only be like special and ghosts that could have interaction, but obviously that is like, that would be like a major, that'd be crazy if it worked like that. It's just like, you can't hit a ghost with any physical move. It's not just like, oh yeah, you can't hit them with normal or fighting. It's like, you can't hit them with anything physical. It's like, yeah, that would make sense, but that would also absolutely destroy type matchups. Like that would absolutely destroy like type interactions. Dang, strip gears, because we just make like ghost types so OP. But if it went both ways, maybe it would make them like so bad too that it would sort of cancel out. I don't really know. There was like nothing in that path. Like, I feel like if I went the top path, I would have at least run into a trainer like before I got to this guy. But like, we were just walking for a while there. I was like, where is there another trainer? I'm not seeing anyone else on this path. My bird Pokemon should be ready for battle. That's good. You always want your Pokemon to be ready for battle before you send them into one. Imagine just like sends out a fainted Pokemon. It's like, whoopsie, sorry, that one died in the last battle. It's okay. I'll just switch out here. Sorry, my bad. Wrong Pokemon. I was supposed to take that one to the Pokemon Center. Give me a minute, I'll do that later. For now, I'm gonna battle with this one. Sorry, wrong Pokemon. You have setting out a Pokemon that's not ready for battle. Go, fainted Squirtle. But yeah, just like Super Mario Odyssey. I don't know if that was the topic I was on. Probably not. It's the topic I was on last episode. But yeah, I feel like they made Bowser a lot more. they helped make people more like empathetic. Help people have some more like empathy for Bowser. They like humanized him, and I know that humanize is a weird term because he's not a human. He's a giant fire-breathing turtle dinosaur. But like, humanize is like the best term I could think of for it. I was going through terms in my head, like what sounds correct. Humanize is really the best way to put it. They really did humanize like not only Bowser but also Peach in Super Mario Odyssey. Because Bowser, we start to realize that like Super Mario Odyssey is making it apparent, is making it like obvious that he does love Peach, because you can just see by the extents he's willing to go through. He's willing to literally travel all the way around the world, picking up items from all these big kingdoms, like stealing from them, just to have the perfect wedding for Peach. It's like, if he didn't care about her, he would just like plop her down in the church and be like, get married to me now. But like, the fact that he goes through all this trouble to get like all these things is like, and have a wedding on the moon, for goodness sake. It's like, Bowser does care about Peach. And like, I feel like previous games, you could sort of doubt that, because you just like look at the way he like locks her in a cage, and it's like, well, this is shameful, this is just messed up. Like, what kind of heartless monster is he? But he really does love Peach. Frankly, looking back after Super Mario Odyssey, I think it's crazy that he locks her in a cage, because it's like, if he did love her this much, to give her a freaking wedding on the moon with all these extravagant gifts and stuff, then why on earth would he lock her in a cage in the first place? Frankly, looking back, it just looks absurd. Not ready yet! But, I don't know, Bowser's just weird like that. He's like, he loves her so much, and yet he puts her in a cage. And I feel like after Super Mario Odyssey, in future games, they sort of like have to retcon that, because it just doesn't make sense. Like Super Mario Odyssey, the people before Super Mario Odyssey were like, I'm sure it was stated like every once in a while, or he said something like there were some hints towards the fact that Bowser loves Peach and wants to marry her, but never in the game was that like the actual plot. You know, it's always like Bowser kidnaps Peach. But like Super Mario Odyssey, it became Bowser kidnaps Peach so that he can marry her. Like, all of a sudden, it's like a very important part of the story. They're like, this isn't just another kidnapping plot, this is a kidnapping plot with a purpose. The purpose of him marrying her because he loves her. It's like drawing attention to something that may have been like sprinkled into previous games. Like, now it is completely obvious. Like, he loves her. He is in love with this woman, and he has a really weird way of showing it. That's why he's kidnapping her. But like, hey, he is kidnapping her for a reason. Like, we are getting a reason, and it's a really odd reason, because he's kidnapping her, like, because he loves her, and you think like, oh, if he loves her so much, then why is he kidnapping her? That's mean. But at the same time, at least we are getting a reason in Super Mario Odyssey. Anyway, you need to use TMs to teach good moves to Pokemon. Yeah, like, not in future games, but in this game, like, you really do. Like, Pokemon movesets have gotten much better as the games have gone on. Like, learn sets, I mean. Like, what they learn. Has gotten, like, much... Pokemon have started learning things that in Gen 1, it would be, like, insane if they learned naturally, you know? Like, you look at, like... I don't know what level Gengar gets, like, Shadow Ball at in future generations, but, like, I guarantee, compared to Gen 1, it's nuts. Like, I don't know what... I can't even imagine what level he gets Shadow Ball at in Gen 1. Like, what, level 48 or some crap? Maybe never? Probably never, honestly. Like, because so many Pokemon, there are so many moves, I feel, in Gen 1 that are just, like, locked behind a wall. The wall of, like, a TM. It's like they are really good moves, and you just can't get them without a TM. It's like, I feel like in this game, Charizard doesn't learn Flamethrower. Like, they might, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if they didn't. Also, I switched out a Pokemon that has no business fighting an Aerodactyl, because, I guess Rolling Kick, they're rock and flying, so this should be neutral. Not very effective. I was gonna say it's not very effective, because they're a flying type, but they're also a rock type. And since if fighting is super effective against rock, it should be neutral. Yeah, oh, it's super effective, what? Broski, what? Is flying not resistant to fighting in this game? That's odd. I would think first of all, I think it's crazy that flying isn't just immune to fighting. But in this game, it's not even resistant to fighting. That's wacky. I mean, I guess you could still punch a bird. It would just have to get low enough, but, like... in what scenario would a bird be low enough for you to punch it, and then stay there, so that you could punch it? Like, usually, a bird will, like, take off when if you're gonna punch a bird will take off before your fist connects with the bird. You know? It's an odd sentence, but you can't tell me I'm wrong. If you've ever tried to punch a bird, then you know I'm right. I don't know why you'd try to punch a bird. I don't know who in my audience would be punching a bird. If you try to punch a bird, then, like, honestly, don't. Because, as we discussed in the last episode, they're robots, they're made of metal, they probably hurt. They probably hurt a lot. They're probably robots, and they're probably made of metal. But, if on the off chance that birds aren't robots, and are not made of metal, you still shouldn't be punching them, because, what did the bird do to you? Like, if you are in my audience, and you did try to punch a bird once, or if you try to punch a bird on a regular basis, even more so, then just don't, because it's mean. And it might get you hurt, depending on whether or not a bird is actually a robot. If you missed the last episode, then you're probably very confused, but in the last episode, I did address the superstition that birds are robots. And, overall, I came to the conclusion that it might be true. I don't really know. I don't really care. It's like, oh, the bird is spying on me through the window. Whatever. It's like, okay, sure. But, like, I don't have any birds in my house, so it's not a big problem. Like, people with parrots, if birds are robots, people with parrots better watch out. Because, like, that thing is watching you while you sleep. It's like, I spend so much time in my house. I'm a gamer. I don't touch grass. It's like, birds are spying on me? Sure. Whatever. But, like, most of the time, they're not seeing anything. Because I don't go outside. It's like, if birds are robots, they're doing an awful job of spying on me. Because they can't see anything while I'm in the corner of this room at my desk. There's no windows giving a direct look to me right now. Bird couldn't look in on me right now, unless it got like a really nice angle. But like, I am currently safe from bird peeping I'm fairly sure I am safe from bird peeping right now. I'm fairly sure I'm safe from any bird robots that may be trying to spy on me, but not good enough. Apparently it's not good enough. This guy is a bird keeper, so he would know. Apparently I'm not safe from the birds trying to spy on me, the bird robots. And, frankly, I suppose you're just never safe from the bird robots, because I feel I am safe as I could be from the bird robots, but I guess there's really no escaping them, is there? They are always watching. There's always bird robot eyes on you. You really can never escape. Guys, if you should take away anything from this video, it's that the bird robots are always watching. Birds are robots. They are cameras, and they are watching you. Anyway, TMs are on sale in Celadon, but only a few people have HMs. Yeah, that's interesting. That's something I never really thought about. It's like, where do people get HMs for? It's like this preschooler who is actually a bird keeper, but we're gonna call him a preschooler because that's what it says. Is he a preschooler who's actually is he a bird keeper who's actually a preschooler, or is he a preschooler who's actually a bird keeper? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows who's correct? Is the sprite correct, or is the name correct? Who knows? But, point is, this guy said something that was interesting. Oh yeah, he said that, like, where do people get HMs from? That's not what he said, I'm paraphrasing. But I agree. Where do people get HMs from? I agree with my paraphrase sentence. But, like, because you can get TMs in shops. It's like, that makes sense. Why gym leaders will be able to give you TMs. Because it's like, yeah, they just bought them. But why do people give you HMs? Where do HMs come from? It's like, how come this random hiker in the mountain just gave me Flash? Like, where did he get Flash from? It's an interesting thing that I never thought about, because it's like, okay, yeah, you go to Celadon department store, and it's like, yeah, there's TMs everywhere, so you can buy so many, but like, where are the HMs? There's no HMs for sale. It's like, from a game design perspective, like, well, yeah, TMs can be bought because they are, like, to help you. They are to help your Pokemon. They are not like they are disposable. They are one-time use. And they are to make things easier, but they are not required. HMs, on the other hand, are required, and they are important, and they are needed for certain sections of the game, so it makes sense from a gameplay perspective that you can't buy them. I mean, that you can't just buy them, you need to obtain them in some way. But, in some interesting way. Or Just you need to like go up to someone who is at a certain point in the game. Like you can't get this HM early. You can't just like buy it. You have to go up. You have to find the person who has it. But like from like a world building perspective, it's like where are they getting these HMs? Well, a bummer. It's like where did Steven Stone die from? From a world building perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Have you taught your bird Pokemon how to fly? Do I even have a bird Pokemon? I don't think I do. Let me check. I'm fairly sure that I don't have any birds on this team. Is there like a bird Pokemon sprite? I feel like this is an actual bird Pokemon sprite. Because in the previous episode I was talking about how like there's only so many sprites in this game. There's not like a sprite for every Pokemon like there are in future games. It's just like bull, rhino, snake. I feel like there's a bird one. If I remember correctly, there's a bird one. Because I feel like that bird one is also reused when you like go to use fly. It's like it also activates like the bird sprite. I feel like the bird sprite is like resembles Pidgey. And okay, not every Pokemon don't have their own sprites in this game, but like the Pokemon that do have, like the Pokemon sprites that are available, actually I find it cool that they actually resemble like Pokemon that exist. It's not just like, oh, arbitrary mammal. It's like, no, this one looks like a Tauros. All like mammals look like a Tauros. All beasts look like a Rhydon. And I'm sure there are some exceptions to that rule. Like beast is a very broad term. And I'm sure like not all mammals look like a Tauros. In fact, is Kyle a Tauros? Wait a minute. Kyle's a Rhydon. That makes sense. I feel like Rhydon is the most common one. That's what I told my brother. And I can say that with like a considerable confidence in what I'm saying, because as you can like, if the ratio of Rhydon sprites to not Rhydon sprites on my team shows anything, then it shows that like Rhydon sprites are a lot more common. But hey, maybe I'm just getting really lucky with the Rhydon sprites. Maybe I'm just getting all the Pokemon with the Rhydon sprites, and there's really not that many. But I feel like just if I were to look back on all the different runs I've done with all the different Pokemon I've had, a lot of them have had Rhydon sprites. So I feel like the Rhydon sprite is the most prominent. Which makes sense, because there's like a beast sprite, you know? It's like, other ones just like, this is a bird, this is a mammal, this is a snake. Which, like, mammals obviously are like the most like, varied group in that, like, if you describe something as a mammal, it could be anything from a dog, to a cat, to a human, to a bunny, to a fox, to a wolf, to a monkey, to a bear. But, like, if you describe something as a bird, it's like a bird, you know? It's like, yes, there are different types of birds that have like a lot of different traits or whatever, but in general, a lot of birds just look the same because they're robots! No. Yes, maybe, possibly, I don't really know. I can't really say. But the point is, like, bird is definitely like a much more, I feel like bird encompasses much less as a category. Snake encompasses even less, because it's like, yes, there are a lot of different types of snakes in real life, but how many different types of snake Pokemon are there? Like, I feel like snake doesn't get used a lot as like a symbol, because there's just not a lot of snake Pokemon. Shot down in flames! Okay, that's dramatic. Is this gonna be forever? Or is it gonna go down in flames? Yeah. Just like, I'm trying to think, because I feel like some weird Pokemon had the snake sprite. Like, I feel like it's just like Ekans, Arbok, and then some other weird one that is like definitely not a snake, but they gave it the snake sprite because for some reason they thought it was like close to a snake. Like, it's definitely not a snake, but it's like slippery or something, so they gave it a snake sprite. Which, like, snakes aren't even like that slippery normally. Are snakes slippery? I don't know. I haven't touched a lot of snakes, but from and I don't imagine they're that slippery. They're reptiles. They're scaly, right? Like, are snakes slippery? Because I hear the phrase slippery snake. Like, that's a slippery snake. But, like, are snakes actually slippery? Is that factual? Is that a factual statement? Anyway, we ride out here because there's more room. That does make sense. You traditionally want to ride your bike where there's a lot of room, because you could always just try to do a flip and then you just fail and then you just go boom. You wanna have room just in case. But, yeah. Mario Odyssey fleshed out Bowser in the way that... Fleshed out is another way of describing it. They fleshed out Bowser in the way that they made it like, really obvious that he does love her, where in previous games it was sort of like speculation, barely stated. And they fleshed out Peach in the way that they made it obvious that not only is she not into Bowser, but she's also, like, not a big fan of Mario pushing. She likes Mario, but she doesn't want him to be pushy. And I feel like it's really important that in Super Mario Odyssey we saw that resistance, because in the end, Mario and Bowser are both fighting for her, and she chooses neither. And she hops on the Odyssey and starts to fly home without either of them. Because Peach, for the first time in a Mario game, like, Super Mario Odyssey is the first time where Peach really was, like, defiant. She's like, I'm leaving both these idiots. And, like, that's great. I love that. Wipeout! But, yeah, that whole conversation about Mario Odyssey that actually took 2 episodes over. That being over, thank you all so much for watching, Eevee Clan. This episode went by really fast, in my opinion. It just felt really fast. But thank you all so much for watching. Already said it, gonna say it again. Sure, whatever. If you'd like to... Nope. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. This is Alex Espion, signing off.